So I have some questions here that we prepared in advance, but again, the success of these programs depends on the audience and your participation in there. So start typing some questions, and in the meantime, I will ask some of my questions here. So I would love to be a fly on the wall. You were talking about flies, but in these initial conversations, how does the administration make the decision to make this a whole department versus a major versus a whole college versus and all of that? How did that decision making happen?
It started with me being a pest for a few years, but seriously, we had to make the case that that there is something permanent here in the in the intellectual sphere, in the sphere of engineering. You have to make the case that this isn't a field that will pop up, be active for a while and go away, that it has the same kind of longevity as the other disciplines in engineering we recognize. Everybody will say mechanical engineering has been here for hundreds of years and it's going to be here for hundreds of years. Some of the more recent ones have not been here for hundreds of years, but they are going to be here for hundreds of years. Computer science and engineering is not going anywhere. So one has to make the case that there really is a fundamental new discipline. Something has changed, and this is here for good. More practically, you have to also recognize what's going on in the environment around you, because it's not by fluke that every other department, every other university in the country is also more or less doing the same thing. And they're recognizing something. They're recognizing a change, something new. You can look at growth of jobs in the last 15, 20 years. The two fields leading them are the data and the computer sciences and bioengineering. You can look at the major scientific journals, Nature and Science, and see what kind of articles are coming out there, and many of the new breakthroughs are in bioengineering and in information sciences. You can look at where our country puts its funding resources. The NIH is one of the biggest areas where we put in money. So all of that tells you that there's something major going on. And that's the discussion we have to have, or we had over a long period of time. And the university has to move deliberately. This is not a decision you take and then revoke.
Right. Does it feel like I'm getting a report there's no volume? I'm wondering if there is volume. So Wendy, it must be your computer because other people are hearing us speak. So please check your computers. She's not hearing me. I'm talking.
I'll type to her.
So we're going to type to Wendy. So Tom, who is one of our fantastic alumni out on the West Coast, says, how will Lehigh's Department of Bioengineering be similar to other leading colleges, and how will it be different?
So this is a crucial point for us. And it's particularly important because we do not have a medical school, and our connections to medical schools are individual. We don't have an institutional connection.
Right.
And that, to answer the second half of the question first, that rules out certain things. And the answer has to be a little bit different based on undergraduate education, where you have to train students, whether or not you have a medical school in certain things, versus your research identity, where you need to be distinctive. You need to pick up area of focus where you can be better or among the top few. So where we'll be different, we are not going to be a center, an orthopedic center or a cancer center or a big MRI imaging center. We just can't do that without having a medical school. But there are certain aspects of bioengineering where we can excel, and we've chosen our focus in that way. So we've decided to focus in three main areas. One is devices, diagnostics, sensors. Another one is biocomputations and modeling, and the third is materials and therapies related to materials. So why these three? What's common about them? One thing common about them is it draws upon strong engineering and science strength at Lehigh. Materials, we have strong strength in that. Devices, it goes all the way from microfluidic to electronic to optical devices. It's a natural for us to get into. And similarly, computation, modeling, it's a natural strength of engineering. It's something one can bring to the practice of bioengineering and biology. So that's why we picked these three after considerable deliberation. And that's where we can do things. You have to have a connection with health and with medical schools, but this is not the kind of research where you need day-to-day connection or hour-to-hour connection. You can do quite well with a slightly more distant connection.
So if kids are coming here and they want to be pre-med, is this a program for them? Or this is...
Yes, actually, this is one of the easiest programs to if you're pre-med, because essentially almost all the requirements are taken care of automatically.
That's good to know as we meet with alumni and their children are applying, to know that piece of it. So the other question I had, thinking about alumni, we hear a lot, well, Lehigh used to be known as an engineering school, and some alumni lament that we are no longer the engineering powerhouse brand name that we used to be. Do you think this department will help, in their minds, raise Lehigh back to the glory days of the...
Lehigh still has a very good reputation.
I think so too, but this is what alumni
but
say to us.
yeah, we're well respected, I think, still. Having said that, it is true that a lot of other schools have invested considerably in engineering research. Actually, some of our competition comes from the Ivy League schools that used not to be that good at engineering, but now they recognize the growth. So I do believe this, along with whatever happens with the College of Health, which is in process of being defined. President Simon's choice of the College of Health as a major new initiative tells you something about the importance of this general area. My personal view is that a strong engineering college in this century has to have a strong bioengineering program. So yes, I do see this very tightly connected to maintaining and growing Lehigh's glory.
The glory days. Yeah, and I kind of explained it to them as it's not that Lehigh has gotten worse with engineering, it's that other schools have grown their areas so much. Let's see. So another question. Can you talk about the faculty that are, you mentioned the word interdisciplinary, and that's a word, since I've been here for a year and a half, that word, I hear it almost every day as a huge strength for Lehigh. So a lot of the faculty have 2 appointments in different schools. The pros and cons of that is does that help students learning? Does it kind of muddy the administrative waters? Do the students even notice? What's the effect?
Yes, to all of them. So we are strongly interdisciplinary, and it's part of the history in the sense that we were a program for 13 years, and as a program, all our faculty had appointments both in bioengineering and in the home department. And we maintained that as we became a department. We didn't tear people out of departments into bioengineering. So with the exception of 2 professors of practice, all the tenure track and tenure faculty have joint appointments. Most of them are 50-50, 51-49 effectively. So we have faculty who are shared between bioengineering and electrical computer engineering, bioengineering and chemical biomolecular engineering. I will spare you the litany, but also with arts and sciences, physics, biology. I mean, we don't have to even attempt to be interdisciplinary. We, by definition, are. And that has its attendant strengths. Lots of joint work, lots of co-authored interdisciplinary research proposals that go out very easily. It provides very interesting opportunities for undergraduate and graduate research for students. There is an administrative burden on the faculty to be part of 2 different faculties, attend 2 different sets of meetings, have 2 different sets of service and administrative load. You don't get anything for free, I suppose.
Right. Great, we have a question from Laura. There does not seem to be a large choice of summer study abroad opportunities in bioengineering for our students. Is this an area you'll focus on? The best opportunity seems to be through IACOCA, but that will be limited to only a few opportunities.
The IACOCA internships is a very strong program that Laura's mentioned with Ireland. We have one. We have a new one coming up with Israel this coming year, which will expand it from about a small number. We take 4 to Ireland, it will go to 7 or something like that. We do have other opportunities. It depends a little bit more on the student initiative, and we work very closely as advisors with the students to make either a semester abroad or a summer abroad opportunity. There aren't many others that are organized the way the Ireland and now the Israeli one is going to be. But we do work with students one-on-one. It takes a little bit more initiative on the students' part to contact their advisor and work with them.
What about the internships during the summers? Do you have relationships with?
Yes, so we do. We routinely get information about internships, and we post them or pass them on to all the students. We obviously very strongly encourage students to do internships.
Yeah, great. Because one of the people on our webinar here is Wendy Fong out on the West Coast, who is actively trying to get internships for alumni or for students on the West Coast.
Fantastic.
And is making some great inroads with all the name brands out on the West Coast and some, and she's typing, but so if you haven't connected with her, she's a great resource for us.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Yeah. Great. And he says, Robert Gordon had the same question I did. So in terms of the faculty and the research projects, can you give us a couple highlights of things that come to mind?
Sure, I'll give a few highlights, and I'll probably miss some important ones. But let me pick from at least one from each of the areas. So Charles Zhou, he's bioengineering and electrical and computer engineering. He's a photonics optics expert. So he works on this technique called optical coherence tomography, which is an imaging technique used quite a lot in the eye. But he's developing applications for cancer applications, other types of bioengineering applications. And this would fall within our devices diagnostics theme. He works very closely with computer scientists to do data analysis, huge because he generates vast amounts of data. He works very closely with another faculty member in a similar theme, Yevgeny Berdychevsky. I would say he's at the boundary between devices and materials therapies. He has a very interesting system called epilepsy on a chip. So he can take sliced mice brains, put them on an electronic chip, and actually simulate epilepsy. So it's very closely related to trauma-induced epilepsy. Let me mention Xuanhong Cheng and Sabrina Jedlicka. They're both in bioengineering and materials science and engineering. So they're on the interface between materials and therapies. Xuanhong also does a lot of devices. She straddles a number of different fields. Xuanhong develops devices, microfluidic devices to do viral capture of other soluble molecules as a diagnostic device. Before she came here, she developed a low-cost AIDS diagnostic device for use in low-resource settings in Africa. Sabrina is very good at materials and material interface problems. She works on stem cell engineering as well. Yaling Liu, he's in mechanical engineering and mechanics and bioengineering. He's very well known from microfluidics work. He developed a very interesting, and he does both theoretical computational work as well as develop devices to capture circulating tumor cells. Was one of his big breakthroughs. Our most recent hire was the presidential chair, Wonpil Im. He's a world-renowned molecular modeling expert, so he does large-scale computer simulations of how membranes behave, how bacterial infections can be, how you can have antibacterial agents try to understand how they work through big molecular simulations. So that's a few people.
Sounds like a lot of really exciting things happening over there. So it looks like there's some nice back channel things going on here with Wendy talking to some people at Soma Logic and Grail, some other, just making connections.
Good.
So you've touched on this a little bit, but how will this department advance human health in the immediate future and kind of your long-term vision for?
So I'll end up repeating my examples. So I think the place where we can be more successful, speaking a little more generally, is in the areas I mean, that's why we've chosen those areas.
Yeah.
Working on devices and diagnostics. I believe precision diagnostics is a good principle to focus around because it underlies recent trends of things like personalized medicine, precision medicine. It's an area where Lehigh has natural strengths. I couple that with computation and modeling in a very broad sense. All these devices that we're talking about are going to generate vast quantities of data, and they need modern data analytics, machine learning, computational methods to make sense of on the fly. And I think it's a natural strength where we can contribute.
Is there any, I don't know if this is still the term used, but the tech transfer piece of it? So if you're developing these devices, are we doing patents on those?
Yes, people are doing patents. There's several patents that are coming out. So I mentioned Chao Zhou. So his work has sort of two streams. There is a basic research stream, and then there's a development stream. So he's taking this optical coherence tomography setup, which traditionally would be a big table like this, and he's trying to miniaturize that, and he's filing patents on that, trying to work with companies. Xuan Hongcheng, I mentioned earlier, her work has been patented. Some work out of my group has been patented, or we applied for patents, I should say more accurately.
Right. Yes. And now, do you work with somebody here at the university to monetize these, or is that kind of up to your department to?
No, there's a tech transfer office. I mean, that's one place where the university, I believe, needs to look at it, and we are looking at it again to make it a little more robust. Yeah. All of the above. Some people start out with setting up small companies, go through a process. The NSF has a process called the I-Core process. The others, my own research is connected with a bigger company, so if it sees the light of day, it'll be through that company.
So Tom has a question about the physical location. Is it in a concentrated building, or are you spread around campus?
We are about 50% of us are in Iacocca Hall, which is up on mountaintop. We have about one wing of space. We have individual faculty labs, undergraduate labs there, 2 undergraduate labs there, and we have one shared area called the Health Research Hub, which has shared facilities. It has cell tissue culture facility, it has instrumentation, and it has some fabrication facilities. The others are scattered across the campus, and that's partly has to do with the history of how the program developed, as drawing from strength in different departments.
Right. And if when we get the new College of Health, and that at some point becomes a physical building, would you see moving into that?
That's a decision somebody else will make.
Yeah. So what keeps you up at night? What are the things that you worry about?
What I worry about, well, there's a positive excitement also keeps you up at night, but the things I worry about most of all is young faculty development. I believe we do a pretty good job with our undergraduate education, and that's in reasonably good shape, although we are engaged in some new ventures there as well. On the graduate education side, we are a young department, literally. I mean, we have a lot of young faculty. And the future really depends on their development, their securing major grants, getting their research done. And I'm very pleased that there's a good positive trend, but that has to grow over the next few years.
Are you worried that MIT will swoop in or Caltech will swoop in and take some of these?
We just lost somebody to UVA. Yes,
Oh.
one of our really strong people. He's leaving end of December. A few years ago, we lost somebody to OSU. So that's it's a challenge. Getting good people is a challenge, and retaining good people is always a challenge.
All right. Well, we are over our time. I know we started a few minutes late, but we like to keep these over the lunch time, and we will send out this recording to everybody again. And it sounds like Wendy and you should have a discussion, so she'll connect with you, I'm sure. But thank you very much for your time, and apologies again to everybody about the technical difficulties. We do this great bioengineering, we can't even get a webinar to work. But yes, Tom, we can send the professor's email address.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.